This exotic hardwood is finally getting its turn to be built into something really cool. It entails coffee beans and resin. You want to see the outcome? Follow me and lass uns anfangen.
There's dirt on my hands, strong like a tree. There's roots where I stand.
If you remember, this is the largest piece that I cut out of a stump that I found on my property. It is an exotic hardwood from an elephant ear tree. It looks like a reddish walnut. It has a really cool, unique color and beautiful pattern. I decided to build a table out of it, filling the large hole with resin and coffee beans. As a first step, I started cleaning up the stump and chiseled out the loose pieces of the inside. It's really distressing, like those destruction rooms you can go to, just better, because you don't even have to leave the house. Unfortunately, the piece didn't fit underneath my router just yet, so I had to sand off a bit. The wood is pretty hard, so I had to use a belt sander to make a dent into it to make it fit. And of course, I had to have a little fun with it. I couldn't find the right hose attachment to the tool, and this one kept popping off, so I got sanding dust everywhere. Once I had the right height, I used the router to shave off the surface to make it flat. After I had the router shave off the surface on both sides, I gave it a quick sand. And again, no hose attachment to be found. So I got it all over me. Looks like I got a bit of a tan. But it's not just all over me, it's also all over my workshop, so that's gonna be a little bit of a cleanup job yet again. And now it was time to go to my dust-free art room to work on the resin. To close the holes, I used tuck tape. And what kind of person are you? Do you use scissors to cut tape or your teeth? Like always, I'm using total wood resin. This one has a 1-to-1 ratio, so make sure you measure it correctly. And then it's time to have some more fun with a resin dance. For the color, I decided with the brown mica powder. It's a little bit lighter than the coffee bean, so it can shine through from the bottom. I love the pigmentation of the mica powder. Then I put the resin into the cracks and let it dry for a few hours before adding the coffee beans. Before it is fully dry, make sure you swirl up the mica powder a few times to give it a nice pattern. Then I added the coffee beans. To encase the coffee beans, I used clear resin. While pouring, some of the coffee beans moved, so I used a wooden stick to put them back in the correct position. Then I let the resin dry for about 2 days. Once the piece was fully dried, I took it back into the workshop. I started by shaving off any of the extra resin. To do this, I'm using my router sled. I could also have just used my CNC machine, but I wanted to show a different option because not everybody has a CNC machine. I adjusted the hand router to the right height and then went back and forth on the router sled. Once I had all the excess resin removed from the tabletop, it was time to sand. That is going to take a lot of sanding pads since I want the clear resin to have a nice polish to it, so you can see the coffee beans clear as possible. And that means we have to have some extra fun with good music and hip swings. And I would say that it should be enough sanding now. And now it was time to attach the legs. To attach legs, I always use screws and inserts, just like those. However, I was out of them, I only had those two left. So I used the screws that were supplied with the table legs. I will come back in the future and change those out for the inserts. However, for now they will do. They are pretty sturdy. Now, since the legs are attached, the last step was to apply the finish. I absolutely love Rubio Monocoat, however it's so expensive, so I was going with an off-brand to see how this one will do. It's called Natural One Coat and I ordered it from Amazon. It's about half the price of Rubio Monocoat. So let's give it a try and see how it does. And wir fertig! Wow, what a unique piece. What do you think? Do you like the outcome? If you do, please like, comment and subscribe if you have not done so. Also, most importantly, click the bell to get notified of new videos. Also, if you can, please join my Patreon for additional content. That helps me create more videos for YouTube. I really appreciate all of the support. Thank you so much to everyone. And see you next Friday. Tschüss!